Hey guys, this is Brad with Dallas Geek, and I'm here today with...
Paul T. Watson,
Will Dinebeck,
Trevor Dallas Orr,
and CJ Peterson.
And we're here to talk about your Star Trek group, right?
Star Trek Pathfinder.
Star Trek Pathfinder. What exactly is Star Trek Pathfinders?
It is a production of taking place in the 24th century Star Trek around the time of Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, but we are taking cosplayers / actors and bringing them into the actual action using green screen technology and Photoshop and so forth. And our goal is to make memes, but they're not just memes, they're episodes, so we coined the term memesodes.
Okay.
And at this moment, we're on Facebook at Star Trek Pathfinder, and the memesodes are under the photo albums, and that's how they're organized. So pretty much Will and I, when we first started, I think we did our first episode flashback, where it was a scene where we were young lieutenants on the Enterprise, and we kind of took it from there. 6 years later, then we've kind of in the current period of the year 2371, I believe.
Okay. So when you put together these compilations, are you trying to recreate the episodes? Are you trying to create brand new concepts?
We are completely different starship. We're not the original crew. Starfleet is a huge organization in the Star Trek universe. We're just another set of officers who've come up through the ranks, and we've been assigned our own ship. And Will, tell them about the motley crew, your whole idea on that.
First of all, this is not Starfleet regulation, but we are not your typical Starfleet ship or whatever. And so we do things, we do bend the rules, but we are loyal to Starfleet. We do follow, and like I said, it's hard for me to explain, I guess I'm putting on the spot. We have a ragtag motley group of cadets and stuff.
Well, and all of our backstories have been linked to the Borg attack that happened during the Next Generation season, the end of season 3, Wolf 359. CJ's character, who's our chief of security, her ship was the Melbourne. She's one of the few survivors from it. Will and I were both on the Enterprise, and so was our executive officer. We all split up after that, and we've come together later through either circumstances being orchestrated by someone or Starfleet Admiralty, and we're on the same ship now again. And so we're having to bring on a counselor because there's post-combat issues. We're going to deal with those subjects. We've got quite a few topics we're going to be getting into.
Yeah, and it's heavy-hearted. Yeah. The topics we do do hit close to home. Like I said, post-traumatic stress disorder is going to be brought up into it in future episodes. And also kind of what you don't see a lot is, there's a scene where we're shaving in the bathroom. We don't see that stuff in the future, and there'll be relationship issues, things like that too. So it's not all action, there's a lot of heart behind it.
Okay.
Sometimes those like to stay on the surface, and we wanted to go deeper.
Okay.
And the memesodes are kind of basically like the storyboard of an episode, if it helps you kind of frame around it.
Like a live-action comic book, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, and the characters are doing normal stuff. We're not, and not everything has to be action or this real important mission. It's like, okay, the replicator's out, who's going to repair it? Or, we're dealing with engine problems and design problems, personnel problems, people leaving because they think the ship's is falling apart and they don't really like this class starship. And then you have other people who are our former chief engineer who's in love with the ship and is very, very temperamental about the engine. So
kind of a blue-collar feel to it in a way.
Exactly.
So this is very much just kind of any and literally every kind of story that you can think of that could be told, even if it hasn't ever been featured in an episode. Those type of stories are what you're trying to put together, especially it sounds like the ones that wouldn't have been featured in an episode because it might seem mundane for the high action show, but is exactly what you guys are going for. Is that kind of the overall idea? That's
true, but we don't want to violate any canon. We don't want to bring in any aliens that Gene Roddenberry wouldn't have wanted. One of the things I know Will, myself, and Sophia, who kind of like the core team on this, our fandom, we honor that fandom. We live by the Starfleet rules. I mean, there's a lot of good things if you look at how Starfleet operates. It's a humanitarian organization. They put themselves before someone else's safety, things of that nature. Actually, Sophia was a EMT, and actually Trevor over here, 20 years in the Navy.
Right. I'm actually a retired Navy veteran of 24 and a half years.
And so I was actually a combat medic, and so did 3 tours in Iraq. So basically my goal is I'm coming in as the senior medical officer, and they've just basically recruited me. And CJ and I, we actually have a relationship that goes way back.
In the story canon. We're actually married, but in the story canon, our relationship goes back to the Melbourne. And he's one of the guys I rescued from the Melbourne. I only got 2. I got the first officer and him. And before it blew.
And this goes back into the depth that we're trying to get into and address. I know Will and I actually were just recently bouncing off what we're going to do with that relationship, and try to want to keep relationships strong, but also keep that core team, the 4 of us, which is CJ, Will, Sophia, and myself, is, there's always a small core of officers on the bridge that, click almost, they can just, with a look, they know what's going to happen next and what the order is going to come down. So just kind of balancing it and doing it day by day.
And with the issues that they're touching, it adds a bit of realism to it that might not be in some of the other ones.
So how many people are in the group overall?
Well, in terms of regulars, let's see, it's myself, Will.
It's 7 to 8 regulars. But like he says, he's got a slew of uniforms. So at larger conventions, when we have a booth, he'll set up a green screen and he'll bring in everyday cosplayers who want to be in our Mimasode episode.
Even non-cosplayers.
Well, yeah.
And you could walk by and we'll be like, hey, you want to be in a Mimasode? And we'll give you a uniform and take pictures.
Yeah. And if you follow the show on Facebook, you pretty much tell who they are because they'll be in there for a few scenes only. But that's what we do. We allow these people to come in, and just be a part of the show.
We have this one guy, he's Admiral Tarkinton. His name's actually, that's his character name. It's also his real last name. He came up at Bell County Comic Con, very tall gentleman, and he just rocked the Admiral uniform. I was so glad I had Admiral pips, and we shot a scene where he's basically chewing myself out and then chewing Will out. So it's kind of, just everyday thing.
And sometimes these characters stick. Like we met CJ and her husband at a convention in Kilgore earlier this year, and it was only going to be a one-hit wonder type thing because she put the uniform on, took pictures, and then things started to click. Okay. And now boom, she's a current member of the cast.
Okay. So you said that these are put together with still images that are put into a sequence to be able to show what the story is. So to actually get the story across, is that your typical like comic book style like speech bubbles, or do you actually have like full story written out to go along with the images, or how's that work?
I'm going to do a shameless plug for the software I use, Mematic. It's just, it's simple. I keep everything simple because, all of us have full-time jobs and careers, and the post-production has to be quick and simple because I don't want this to stretch out for a long time, because people who see us taking pictures here or who join us here, we want them to see within a month or so what's happened. Now, we shot for 4 months over the summer for the episode, or the Mimasode Ambush, and then we immediately started releasing parts 40 at a time, the limit of Facebook uploads that we could do into the album, and it's kind of stuck as a standard. So yeah, they're 40, there's no bubbles. Now we move to YouTube or another venue to show these Mimasodes. We may do something different, add some musical score to it, but again, that's going to require a lot more.
Yeah, the text is actually on the actual picture,
right?
And the dialogue, it's just dialogue. It's not a third person perspective. So the dialogue is matched with each person's photograph.
So then, the group, does it just get together to be able to put together these stories, or do you actually go, you said you do some conventions, do you do a lot of like conventions that you attend to be able to show off the group, or is that just to be able to have more third-party input with the next story, or how old does that work, going out to things like this?
Well, we're going to KeyCon next weekend in Harker Heights, and we're actually guests there. So we'll be on like a panel, we'll have a booth, and we'll have panel, booth, and a lunch. Star Trek lunch.
There'll be a lot of interaction.
Nice. But we like to talk to people that stop by the tables. I love it when kids come in because we get them behind the green screen. The one we did at the G.I. Joe
with
convention,
the tribbles.
yeah, we had tribbles on our shoulders, and me and this little kid were like shooting tribbles.
Nice.
It's fun.
Very nice.
Sometimes we have a table, sometimes we don't.
We're trying to keep it family oriented.
Yes.
Where pretty much anybody, general person, can step in, be in there.
So when you say that you bring in people, all ages of family members to be able to join in with the fun that you guys are having. What's the youngest person you've actually had participate with some of your stuff?
Well, for the meme-isodes, they've got to be 18 and older, and they have to sign a release. There's a standard legal release form we do, and for the guests, they just send their email, and those pictures go to Flickr, and they can, if they want to get a picture with their children, but the parents have to sign, yeah, we want that, because we don't want any legal knots to have to untie later.
The youngest future member of the show will be my cat, so he's 5. So he sneaks aboard the ship, so that'd be the youngest.
No, Delilah's 3. My service dog. So I do. We had a service dog who was in the Lost. Who will be in the next meme-isode.
Right, because again, there's Cat on Next Generation, there's Dog Porthos on Enterprise. So, if you're in a ship, you're long range, and you've got to have some family, it makes sense. And plus, we're not exactly a standard crew. We're pretty much have all come from very different backgrounds. We have some crew members who are going to have been, in a little bit of trouble with Starfleet, and they're just getting their second chance. So
now, of course, with Starfleet, each ship type has a different specific mission that it goes after. With the Enterprise obviously being all about exploration versus something along Voyager, which was specifically about the more security side of things. Well, supposed to have been more security side, and even something smaller with like the Defiant. What exactly is the mission of your ship and crew?
Well, originally Pathfinder was launched. It's the same class as Voyager, an Intrepid class starship. So we're launched and given an order to head to Deep Space Nine for a rescue mission that we know nothing about. We're picking up a rescue mission from another starship. So we're just on assignment. Like the Hood, whenever Star Trek The Next Generation was rolling along, Captain DeSoto made a comment, I just haul myself back from one starbase to another. We're just an assignment ship. And I know I'd probably talk to Trevor more about the details on that, but in the Navy, not every ship has to have a solid mission. They're given...
No, the missions change. And that's kind of what we're trying to focus on, is we don't want to be mission-oriented or mission-specific.
Okay.
If a mission comes up and Starfleet says, hey, we need you to achieve this mission, that's what we achieve.
And some of those missions, like I said, they're constantly changing. And with our crew, we're quick to speak up. We think there's something suspicious about it, and that is basically, it kind of goes against regulations. Where even though he's the captain, I'm the commander. I will bust his chops. And that's not normally.
It's partly because we've known each other for so long, and we came up together. But there's a mystery thread that's going to run through this that's being orchestrated. And I don't want to put any spoilers out there, but there's several organizations that have been heard of that are canon in Star Trek that are going to be involved in this, and that's really what's going to focus us. Like Voyager was lost in the Delta Quadrant, or they will be in a month from now in our timeline. Okay. That ship will be lost. It may come up on a pad as a mention. I mean, we mentioned the Dominion threat, that we're now having to move from having 3 command officers to 4, and we're going to have to go to a 4-shift rotation, which means we're bringing on another commander that's going to vie for his position, who we don't really know who that person is yet.
So that's what's cool about the show, also because, even though, we're all family aboard a ship, we all have a job to do. And with me being the commander and the chief of security, we don't see eye to eye a lot of times. And there's that tension there. But what's cool, there's also that underlying respect. There's no name calling, no backstabbing, so that's one thing I like. It's, I don't know if it's like that in the military.
No, it's totally like that.
So then with that, shameless plug time, where can our viewers find your stuff?
Well, I'll let CJ answer that.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, both under the same @ sign. It's @ST Pathfinder.
And unfortunately, Instagram doesn't let us put the pictures the way we want them, so we really can't put the meme-isodes on Instagram. We'll put some little behind the scenes or some shots, like here at the con. But yeah, that's the main meme-isodes are there. And on my site, I think Paul T. Watson, I've got some an old humorous one I did with the Lone Star Fleet. I'll give those guys a plug. Hi, Chase. Okay.
And hopefully come next year when we have more time, and of course, this is all funded primarily out of his pocket in our time and stuff. We'll have a YouTube channel set up where the meme-isodes will be a 5-second frame, and you could basically watch a live-action meme-isode / comic book. So I hope that's our main goal for early next year.
Nice.
Very nice.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for telling us all about what your group does and all the different things that you get to go attend and introduce people to additional fun for Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you so much. And guys, until next time, this is Brad with Dallas Geek saying, see ya.